try so hard. Yee. Okay, I reckon we'll try that. For starters. That's actually pretty okay, I think. Close enough, you know? What the heck, let's scooch over a little bit. I don't know if that helped. All right. Okay. Smells like foam. Hi yourself. Good morning. Over here anyway. Almost noonish. Trying the morning stream over here to see if see how that works in the other hemispheres. Get a different group of people in here. Some of those who have made it clear that they have an interest but are usually busy with work and other things this time of day. So, J-Ro, Mike Antos, good morning. Okay, 7, holy smokes. All right. That's not a bad crowd for this early in the game. And I reckon 7, yeah, what the heck. Yeah, back to basics is the title of the stream because I needed to call it something, but also just I tend to overcomplicate things. Like my brain sees a bunch of cool stuff and wants to put it all together at once, and it gets kind of overwhelming, and especially with my limited time I have anymore, kind of stresses me out having a really big picture and not very much time to do it. And so I'm going to take a shot at going back to basics on, like, in the early days when before kind of the integration revolution of sorts. Integrations were pretty basic. It was like back in the Straven days, it was like, I like the Strife, but I like the Raven stock, so I'll just stick the stock on here. And so it was like, you like Blaster A, and you just stick a stock on, or a front end, and just really kind of basic stuff, instead of what we have anymore, which is just such an amazing conglomeration of stuff we're seeing anymore from, man, everybody's doing it now, and doing a heck of a good job at it. So much cool stuff out there. So, just for the heck of it, this isn't a heartfelt project. This is just kind of a more matter of fact. I've always wanted to do a, what, Alpha Hawk? Is that what this? Yeah, Alpha Hawk integration. Because I like the stock, but I've never really done anything with it because it's taken me forever to get one at a price that I was happy paying. So I finally got one that I can cut up. And I've never done anything with a modulus, but I do like that it's got, you know, battery storage underneath, and it's got a nice symmetrical shape and stuff like that. So I do want to, I've been wanting to do something with one, but I don't have any grand plans. So I kind of thought, well, what the heck, we'll take a little bit of everything. We'll take the Alpha Hawk stock off, stick it to the back of the modulus, probably take the majority of the barrel here and stick it on the front. And probably not going to do a whole lot else. I do want to cut the top rail thing off here and either add just a piece of rail or add something there. Not totally sure yet, but yeah, like I said, just going back to basics. Just going to put this together. Simple body work, I'm thinking, and probably just sell it to somebody who has maybe gets inspired, has a bigger picture, and wants to, you know, add to it, change things, whatever paint they want to do. I'm just going to leave it either in just raw or shoot some primer of some kind at it. Might just leave it raw. I might just hit the actual joints and stuff with some kind of a guide coat just to make sure there's no pinholes or weird things. I might even just rough it out until it's like, you know, the basic shape is there and it's secure, and then sell it off just to let somebody else take a stab at it. Since, I mean, a lot of people have contacted me wanting something that I've built, but most of my projects are really, really, really big and in-depth and kind of outside of a practical price range, and so I'm thinking go a little more basic here. And for one thing, do kind of a palette cleanser of sorts. Just do something simple, complete something more or less, and have the satisfaction of, hey, I completed a project. Basically, get that out of the way, kind of clear my head a little bit creatively and stuff like that. So, for starters, I reckon I know that the back half here of the Alpha Hawk is like just glued together, and it plugs into the back, here. I mean, not plugs in, but it is held in place by that. So we'll have to use probably both back sections, which is good. But I don't actually know how it's set up, and so this is going to be a bit of a exploration of discovery for me personally. And well, I've had a modulus open, I've modded one, but I've never actually looked at it with the eye for integration work. Like, I know the grip section is a separate piece, but I'm not sure how that's going to relate when we're dealing with something like this. If we're going to be able to make, like, to the point where the stock and the grip is going to be a whole modular assembly that comes loose, or if the grip is going to be, I don't know. That's going to be, I think I'm going to make this kind of a stream thing. I'm going to try to not work too much on it alone, at least until we get to, like, the more basic, just sanding and stuff like that. But as far as the exploration part of things, I want that to be kind of a stream thing, kind of a live model-along of sorts, where I don't know what the end looks like. I have kind of a basic idea, but I'm thinking it's a simple enough thing, a simple enough project that we'll be able to kind of do it together without turning into a 30-some-odd episode series like the model-along was. Just to get kind of the basic principles of looking at the way shells relate to each other and stuff like that, starting from scratch, whereas other projects I've worked on stream have been existing projects or had a good solid plan, or already already defined and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna go back to basics here. Good evening, Doom Lord, over in Scotland. I don't believe we got too many Scots on the stream yet, usually because I tend to stream later in the afternoon to evening over here. So it's kind of cool to see the other hemisphere making a showing. Green Hill, Party Frog Markle. Alright. Hopefully can keep the knuckle guard thing. I looked at that, but I'm not sure how this would work with the mag release. Unless, I don't know. I did like the idea, and I kind of eyeballed it, but I don't think we can have a practical use of it, since it's going to be mounting right up in this area where the mag release is. So we'll take a look at it once we start kind of cutting things up and putting pieces together and things like that. Greg H. heard rumors that Nerf is changing their FPS cap. Can you confirm anything? Honestly, I don't have as much to do with Nerf anymore, especially on the competitive side of things, because I'm just not available anymore. I'm not even sure they're doing like the full-blown competitive nights anymore at all, just because there's I don't know, organization over there is always kind of strange. So yeah, I cannot really give you any details on anything there. You'd have to contact. Crap. Last I heard, Kai was kind of taking the lead on the competitive thing, but I'm not sure as far as the organization of that end of things. Okay. I remember there being discussion on taking this guy off, that it doesn't come off nicely. I'm going to assume that the old long shot bolt trick works and you can just hammer it off. So I'm not too concerned about affecting the internals, since they're going to come out anyway, but it moved. Piece of cake. That was a little more civilized than cutting up that long strike last time. That was interesting. If anyone was there for that one. Okay. Alright, so that dude just does that. Okay, I think I can handle that. Okay, orange bits, spring. catch deal. What the heck? Huh, that's, huh. Way to go overcomplicating things, Nerf people. Okay, that spring is gone for the time being. That guy, I don't think that guy's going to do us any favors either. So you have to snap both pieces in? I've never bought one of these new, so I guess you did have to snap each side in individually. So let's... I think more things than I needed to came out of there, but I think we got what we needed. Okay. I don't think there's anything we'll ever need out of there, so take these to the boneyard. Okay. Screwdriver in the slot. Oh, okay. Well, I reckon if I had any intentions of reusing the internals or even this area here, we would have gone through this a little more scientific-like. But I got what I needed without affecting anything that I will need. So. Okay, so let's... Okay. Here, this is our base. I reckon these look like your standard screws. So we'll push them over there. Spencer Hayes, how would another indoor Nerf arena in Boise be? What would you do differently from Nerf? Actually, that's a good question that I mean, I could talk in length about, but I don't think what I have to say would change anything ever. But a few years ago, when like right after they opened, then my dad and I would actually go, and we would just play the crap out of that place, and we'd go through and just like decimate everybody and have a heck of a good time, and then we'd discuss on the way back home at the end of the night all the ways we can improve things. Well, the Nerf as an arena is set up and caters the majority of its catering is to you know, birthday parties and little league teams and stuff like that, which is probably where the most money comes from and everything. I would try to cater to the more adult market, since we really don't have airsoft or paintball in the valley here. I mean, we apparently do now. The place just I just saw opened up, but they apparently moved from somewhere else that I was unaware of. But it being paintball, I never really paid that much attention anyway. But you have a whole market there of adults, because we'd go on the rival night where they'd let more modified stuff into the arena, and there was dads that would show up because their kid wanted to go, but the dads would have a good time, and the dads are like, "Hey, you're old guys too. You know, what the heck brings you out here?" And we're like, "Well, we like having fun because we play things a little bit differently because we don't play with stock stuff." And they thought that was really cool. And so there's a market of teens, young adults, and old guys who would like to do that without walking on top of toddlers. Because, man, those kids are, yeah, you try to move around, be all strategic in the arena, and you have a bunch of toddlers who are just like running around in between your feet, and you're tripping over them and trying to not crush them, or they cry or whatever. And so you have a market of people that's untapped, basically, in the area. And we actually, there was what the heck was it? It was a Kmart. There's a Kmart that was closed, and the whole building was available. We were in absolutely no way to even like consider like, hey, let's open up a place, but it was more like, hey, it would be cool if this existed, and we had like do more of a urban urban environment. I know the what is it? Quick Flag, New Zealand, the New Zealand guys, and also I believe in the the heck is it? Monkeytron's over there all the time. It seems like where there's like I think it's a airsoft arena, but it's got like kind of building structure things and kind of room to room, and there's like roads kind of, and there's like cars, and you're moving around a more natural environment of sorts, but it's all very CQB style, and they use smoke bombs and things like that, which is super cool. And I always thought, man, it'd be cool to have more of a CQB style arena and have like the lighting change in different areas. You know, like have some areas darker than others, or have adjustable lighting to where you can change. Uh, you know, to where you could have it set up, you know, straight light everywhere, or you could like make certain areas darker, or have it like change throughout a game, have the lighting change a little bit, kind of um, representing the like a changing day, you know, just to kind of change the environment a little bit, and instead of having like hip hop music playing in the arena, have um, like video game background music score playing to where it's more a little more immersive, and you're not it's it's really hard to really put your heart into the game when the speakers are blasting girls just want to have fun when you're trying to communicate with your teammates. It just really kills the whole experience, especially when the ref is singing along, where if you had more of just a not really noticeable, but it is not quiet, you know, just kind of video game noise music, that stuff, you know, I guess it's just called score. Just stuff like that would be super cool, and be able to have refs acting as like even NPC types, you know, people who you can interact with or whatever. I don't know. It had a lot of cool ideas, but do more of an adult market of sorts than just a brightly lit, happy arena thing. Cater more towards the airsoft and paintball market, only with Nerf because Nerf is cooler anyway. There's an uncontrollable sin. Wow. Sweden must be a depressing place. I'm really sorry about that. Please don't kill anybody. Is it a Rotofury barrel? Yes, this is a Rotofury barrel off the side. I was actually eyeballing that for another project. Projects kind of come, and then pieces culminate in the area, and then the project moves on, but the pieces stay. So yeah, don't always assume that because I have pieces here that they're for the current project. They could just be like, I've got Praxis. I think that was that was the Paragon, and I've still got this, and I've got this guy, and I've got these from a different project, and just pieces from everything because I don't clean up enough. Kiln, that might have been it too. And actually, back to the arena topic for a minute. I actually talked to a guy because Dart Wars fizzled over here for reasons that I've heard but cannot confirm. But the some of the players or some of the enthusiasts over there, and also former employees, when the place went down, I talked to one guy who actually apparently had really wanted to open up a new place, but he had some kind of investor friend that was thinking the idea was pretty cool, and he looked at a couple options, and actually him and I, that's not coming out, kicked around a lot of ideas of layouts and ideas and stuff like that, and he was really digging it, but the investor friend kind of stopped calling back apparently, so that ended up not happening. But I was really excited about it for a while. But he was also in the more, hey, let's not cater to little league teams and the 10 and under crowd. Because he was like, yeah, we can do this hardcore and still be available for younger crowds and things like that. But we cater more towards, I mean, anybody can show up and say, hey, we want to do this birthday party, but we got a bunch of dumb little kids, and we say, cool, as long as you got money, whatever. So. Okay, so that dude fits there. Seems to be a bit more of a sweep on the handle, but the handle also has that extra little jut out thing. So, get a better approach here without getting my head in the way. That seems to be about right. That only gives us basically right there, which would be cool to, since we'll be losing this screw port, to be able to add this one here. So if we use that, that ends up changing the whole sweep of the grip though, unfortunately. Huh. I don't know as I want to use the whole grip part from the Alpha Hawk, because it's kind of skinny, and I never really cared for the grip. The rubberized thing is kind of a cool gimmick, but I don't know, I didn't really dig it enough. I reckon what we could do is what a lot of people do. I don't know if, is it with this, or was it more with the bigger thing? Anyway, using the whole back of the grip, just using the back part of the grip through there, because that's all, yeah, all one color, all one piece. So we'd be using this little bumpy thing, but I think we could integrate it into this whole little back strap here, which gets rid of the weird little like tractor tread grippy stuff here. That does match up pretty well with this here. We just kind of it'd give us a little bit more what do you call it, the length of pull on the trigger. Instead of holding like this, you'd have a little more of your finger out ahead, a little more length here, which would be kind of cool, and also give us a little bit more room on the stock. Just give us a little length there, which would also be kind of cool. So I reckon what we're going to do to start with is probably take this line here right at the back of the priming slot and just whack it clean off. Figure we can take that and move that whole thing out of the way and focus on just this component. Then we can trim around here and whatever we need to do beyond that. So I reckon that's how that's going to go. So I'll need to trim. I think I'll leave a little stub here that we can lap over, but I do want to get rid of the majority, especially of this top corner where we have a little bit of interference. But yeah, do want to keep this screw port if at all possible, just to keep this area tight since we'll be losing this guy. And so yeah, we'll start with that. Oh. Robert the Crazy Buffalo. Oh, hello there yourself. So what do we got? What do we got? Where are we? There we are. That guy. Safety. Proper hydration. Okay, Dremel time. So cover your ears or head or turn your volume down or whatever you're doing. Okay. Oh geez, down to 17. Apparently 3 people don't like the Dremel noise, so I apologize. got that. Oh boy. I reckon what we might could do. That one just finally came out on its own. Jerk. Okay. What I'm kind of looking at here is the option of cutting along this little loop here, where it kind of bumps out a little bit, and kind of favoring this line here. It's always tough trying to look at something since my eyeballs are looking at it this way and your eyeballs are looking at it this way, to try to get an eyeball or an idea of what I'm looking at here, and at the same time also share with you guys. You're not like, what the heck's he looking at? What's he talking about? What's going on? Since, like I said, we're kind of I'm kind of focusing on working with this line here as far as blending things, because I think that's about as wide as we're going to go. We might do some sculpting in here because everybody knows a modulus grip kind of sucks. Trim that back. That's going to leave that heel area open. Let me just take a look here real quick. And okay, yeah, I was just going to say, if I use this this flat edge here as kind of a guide for making a straight line up through here, is there something corresponding here? But no, we'd have to do all the cutting here and then rough it out and then just go from there. Interesting. All right. Just trying to find a constant or a referenceable line up here that we can make this whole area flat, so we can line this up here and then know exactly what we're working with on the grip part, since right now it's kind of doing this number. So I'm thinking find something perpendicular to the main lines of the blaster so we don't end up being kind of weird, since we're kind of bound by, we want these lines to be parallel first and foremost, and then whatever the heck happens to the grip, we'll just have to roll with the punches, so to speak. Actually, okay, what we could do is use the catch, just the front of the catch line there. Since that's shortened up a little bit towards a little closer, because right now we're way the heck off. That turns into a fatty, fat grip. Well, that's a little more realistic, I think. We can always get creative, and if we need to, once we get kind of this up here established, we could even make some cuts here and kind of roll this grip in a little bit, just kind of make a... We'd have to do away with this little weird shaped body line that's here for no real reason. Just kind of lean this in a little bit and do some work to kind of tidy that up. But that would fix our grip thing, but then we have this little toe thing kicking up, which also complicates things. Huh, alright. Well, this may be not quite as basic as I was hoping to basic. Yeah, it still seems to be a bit big. Shoot. Okay. Gonna be a bit more greedy with my trimming here. And loud. Alright, Gargunkel. I am doing fine. How are you? Okay. Still need to come down a little further. Make sure that's still... Yeah, we got plenty of meat to work with. All right. And we'll cut this guy off. Okay. I don't recall there being anything super important except for return spring, which doesn't appear to be on this guy. It appears to be on another one. So that is cool. Ha! Perfect. All right. Watch out for the screw. Yes. The screw dropped out a little bit ago, so that was beneficial. And return spring. Yes. Narrowly missed that, dude. I'm going to trim out some of this gunk here a little bit so that we can fit it around the stock attachment or what's left of it. The way those giant hands slowly desecrate the innocence of that plastic. Greenhouse, I'm not sure if you were here for the last stream when I did a number on a long strike. That was a little more brutal. I reckon that ought to be close. Just showed up. What's the end goal? Well, the end goal is quality time, camaraderie, community good vibes, and cool things like that. We're just chilling. But as far as this project in particular, today is just basically a super basic, I would say not super involved, a traditional, I'll say yes, a older style traditional, just graft a stock and probably a front end on a blaster instead of a full, cutting a thing into a billion pieces and moving things around and putting things upside down and adding weird crap. It's just kind of a traditional, kind of a palette cleanser of sorts, just to like, hey, let's just put this other stock on this thing and do a thing, and it's just a bit more of a basic operation. That is the goal for today. All right, J-Row, have a good day. Got to get ready for stuff. Yes. Well, enjoy your stuff. Best of luck with your stuff, whatever your stuff may be. All right. I get 22 watching now. Nice. It's a bigger crowd than I was expecting for this time of day. I mean, I don't think I've ever done a morning, early afternoon stream, so I'm not sure what the crowd is as far as where that puts the time zones as far as people who are actually home and not at school or work or whatever. Well, I'm telling you, this whole like working weekends and getting Monday, Tuesday off, it really like bites a whole lot, and it really screws up the scheduling for basically everything in my life. So while I would generally be doing this on like, I guess I have done afternoon streams during the weekdays. I'd do that like on a Thursday or Friday, it seems like, last year before my life changed. Huh, interesting. I believe I've done them on Saturdays as well. Boy, last year seems so long ago. Anyway. So we get that, actually, that's going to be super duper neat. And this back of the rail, which I was a bit concerned on how that would turn out, is actually going to line up pretty darn good with the back of what, I don't know, it's just this little thing that they thought it'd be cool to angle it off this way, and then realize that any stock attachment point you put on there is going to need something to butt up against, so they just put a square on there because it, like Nerf itself, is square. So that at least gives it a little more natural termination point. Took school off for the day. Nice. I assume you're sick or just a lawbreaker. East Coast fans should be joining in quite soon. Awesome. East Coast is always welcome. I have quite a few friends on the East Coast. Everywhere, actually. It's hard to really identify, where everybody belongs, or, as far as friends and fans and whatnot. Since this is a global community, and it's cool to just kind of know that you know people like all over the world, and so yeah, it's just really interesting, just a weird dynamic. How's the weather there? Is it as moist as it is here? Well, shame on you for using that word. Also, it's just kind of gross right now. We got kind of snow yesterday. Well, yeah, technically we had snow yesterday, but it was just kind of like that nasty slushy stuff, and then it turned to like ice for a while, where you walk outside and you're just getting hit with ice, and then when it hits the ground it thaws for a second and then turns to ice, but different. So it's just it's very January out here. It's not like fun, cute snow. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, it's January snow. Notice how snow gets a lot less cute once January hits? It's like, after November or after Thanksgiving, you get snow and it's like, oh, it's the first snow and it's great. And then it's like Christmas time, it's like, oh, it's so Christmassy. And then New Year's hits and you're like, screw you. Snow is just ugly and dumb and everything else. But yet the snow doesn't know. The snow is just like, hey, I'm snow. I'm just doing my thing. I'm just rain that got cold. So I mean, I try to not take it personally, but at the same time, it's like, it's just kind of lame. Okay, see, this is a little bit closer-ish. I think we're probably going to end up filling this little detail here with the little bumps in the slot thing, because there's really no reason for it. Because it's going to put it in an awkward spot. There's going to be no way of making that look really, really cool, except for the fact that it's going to be stepped down a little bit, so it'll be an obvious difference, but we'll take it as it comes, because that's what we do best. Have I done anything with the prophecy, and is it worth getting a prophecy? I have not done anything with the prophecy. I've thought about getting one, but I don't do as much Springer work, and I don't do a whole lot of like performance-based stuff. I've kind of kept an eye out because I would like to get one because I think they're kind of sharp looking, just a little jazzier than a Retaliator. But beyond that, I do not know, and I would say I don't know if there's any advantages of the prophecy over the Retaliator. Since if you want to do an expanded plunger tube, you still have to cut out all the stuff on the inside, and I think all the kits work one for the other anyway, and so I don't know if there's like an advantage one for the other. If somebody is more experienced than myself, which would be fairly easy actually, if you could chime in and answer that question. One last question before I shut up. If you could do any integration without having to worry about logistics and cost, what would it be? That's the thing. I usually don't have to worry about logistics and cost, since most of my junk I buy like for a couple of bucks at a thrift store, and really the expense and difficulty as far as logistics would be in like internals. But it would be cool to do some real fancy Arduino type work as far as in fact, I actually have some plans planned, because that's what you do with plans apparently. Plan being a verb, no. A verb to noun. I have plans planned for Devil's Hand to get a makeover, since the way it stands now is just to get paint on it for Ragnarok Oktoberfest. I do have LED work, and I'm actually kicking around ideas with Alice on some Arduino stuff for Select Fire and other modes and cool things like that. But that's technical stuff you have to like write down and make notes and plan things out that way ahead of time before I start doing any more cutting on the internals for adding lights and stuff. So that's a ways off. I'm just happy having it done-ish. But I would say that would be the doing Select Fire, your computery stuff. But the logistics part of that is the fact that I don't know what the heck I'm doing, and so I just have to know people and say, hello people I know, here's money, please help. Which is not really part of the integration scene. Otherwise, dream integration stuff, I don't know. I don't really think there's anything that I like super duper want to build but can't right now at the moment. Okay, I've got a thing here. What does he do? He plugs into this guy. Okay, well, semi-important just for locating and strength structuralness. Okay. I'm going to say, let's see. Okay, I'm kind of torn. I can either trim out these little support deals that kind of lock together in this area and then shave this guy back a little bit, or I can just cut this dude clean off and tuck it in there without affecting this stuff. So it's like, kind of hard to pick. behold, an idea. Just for the heck of it, I'm going to open this thing up, probably take a lot of the unnecessary junk out of it, and, because I believe this is a separate piece, correct? Yes. And I'm just going to pull the whole grip out, fit this dude in here, and just kind of see how we're looking, and just, you know, just kind of get a feel for stuff. I want to do strife cross-bolt integration like the one I sent to Wacom. I really don't have the time to do it. Oh, good grief. Good grief, good grief, good grief. That thing was I wouldn't say a nightmare, but like, certainly did affect my sleep. How's that? And I had just a ton of people being like, hey, can you do another one? Or show us how to do it. And I'm like, I really don't want to if I can help it. Because that was, it wasn't a pleasant build, but it was one of those kind of just to prove it can be done kind of thing, because I don't think anybody had really done one the way I had done it, but I thought it was a cool idea. And one of the biggest things on that was to use only parts between the strife and the crossbolt, not to integrate anything else, because I kicked around the idea of extending the stock by adding the praxis, like I've seen done a few times, and it looks really cool, but like as a matter of principle, I wanted to be like strictly strife and crossbolt parts integrated in, and so it's kind of a personal challenge to myself. But yeah, I don't think I want to do that again. Okay, apparently I have to take this part anyway. However, I saw what the heck was it? It was on Instagram, and it was I took a picture of it. I'd have to find out on my phone, but I don't want to touch my phone because it's streaming right now. It was a Stampede with the back end like minimized, you know, all the battery compartment cut out. But then they tucked a crossbolt back into that, and then used the thumb hole part, and it just looked super compact and tidy. And they cut the front end off the Stampede as well. And I thought I want to do that, but just a little bit different, but just to make kind of a little CQB Stampede thing, just because it looked cool. It's just a little box, just a little boxy dude. And I thought, yeah, I could do that. So that might be a project that pops up on the bench when it doesn't need to, because there's too many other things going on right now. But you know how it works. Huh. Okay. Well. Yes, you can't just take the grip out because there's wiring and stuff like that. Duh. That was a duh for me, not a duh for anybody else, because I'm the only one that qualified for that duh. So, is this all one piece? Good heavens. Well, what we might end up doing here. Here we go. And that guy? Yeah, sure. Hey, we got too many pieces here. Oh boy, we got stuff everywhere. Oh, it's gonna get wild. Okay, what else is there? Am I dumber than I think I am? Probably. I set myself up for that one. What is the trigger doing? I put a screw in the way, dummy. Gosh, what the heck are you doing? Nope. These guys. I'm gonna leave that guy there just as a reminder that he's important and that he's loved and stuff like that. Because really everybody needs to hear that once in a while. Even dumb screw ports and things. Cool. All right. Yeah, we'll do that. This is how you lose screws. Just for the record. The screws will become important later, but we'll revisit that later. So what we got here is this guy. Which actually that's going to work out pretty okay, I think, as far as how that fits in there. That's going to be kind of a very natural looking termination, where you have this dumb little thing that's going to line up perfectly, but it's going to step down, so it'll be a little less conspicuous and dumb. A little more material to remove here, but I'm not going to get too crazy about that yet. So let's see what actual damage we did. So we got that dude there. Okay. I think that's fairly acceptable. Part of me wants to just cut those wires off, and part of me kind of cares a little bit, but not really, but kind of. But not that much. But just enough. So, okay. Yeah, I really don't like that grip. Style-wise and whatnot. Just doesn't do anything for me. I should probably grab a little bag and start putting everything in here, since this is going to be kind of a solitary project that's not going to get overly complex, of course, famous last words. Naturally. Yeah, he'll make for kind of a wide grip. Tall, I guess, rather. I'm just going to knock the tail off of that and in there, just to get a bit closer. Just real quick, let's, okay, so there's a screw port there, so definitely have to decide if we want him there or not, since that's going to put him actually just behind. We'll have one there. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Thoughts on the Ultra 2 leak? Oh yeah, I saw that. It was last week when it was first, the specs first came out. The rear loading is super cool. I want to know how the pusher works. If the pusher just kind of comes almost like a vortex, the throwing arm, where it kind of comes from like below level and then makes an arc, pushes up and back. That would make sense to me. If you can convert it to like regular darts, because let's see, ultras are like halfway between elite and mega size-wise. So man, if you could fit like a 7th or even 8 rounds, not sure how closely they have them tucked in there, but if you could print a conventional dart cylinder and a cage that gives it enough crush, then and still maintain the rear loading thing. So now you'd have to change a lot because the darts are shorter. So you'd have to modify the pusher or move the flywheels forward more. Huh. If you could make it shoot conventional darts, that'd be cool. I'm just not totally sold on the Ultra yet. It just doesn't grab me. It doesn't. It does not bring me joy, right? Isn't that how it's supposed to be? That's how you decide if you get rid of crap or not. Yeah, it's a cool idea. It's cool to see the whole. The heck is this? Rear loading, I think, would be super, super, super cool, especially for something like that you could just have a pile of darts and just load them in, pow, 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 feed them in the back instead of having some like a dropout cylinder and then front load. Rear load stuff would be super cool for something like that, but we'll see. It seems like they got some cool ideas coming through with the Ultra line, but it's like, I don't know. I'm not sold on Ultra yet. It's just none of them really look cool. They've got some cool ideas, with like this, the 4, having a single shot that's the 4 and a 20 whatever round that's the 1, and then the 2 has got 6. Their naming convention is just dumb. It's just dumb overall. It's just dumb. Why have numbers are bad names for things? I mean, it's just. I mean, you go back in time. Okay, you got like the Chrysler 300, the old Delta 88. Putting numbers on things is cool if it's got an actual name with it that just kind of accentuates. If the number accentuates the cool name, then that's cool. The old 442, at least that meant something. Stuff like that. But yeah, when you just have an item that its name is just a number, it's dumb. It's dumb. It's a dumb thing. But we'll see. All right, Luke, thanks for stopping by. And hello, Mr. Dan, and happy birthday. Seems viable, especially if they make enough cool blasters. Well, that's a thing. I mean, we'll work with whatever. I think the biggest issue. I mean, I'm not against Ultra because it's cool to not like Ultra. It's the fact that I don't know. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything for me. It seems like they introduced something where the primary reason was to protect themselves as far as the proprietary ammo thing. Their main goal seemed to be, make something that people can't copy without being, overly difficult. And then they crammed it down our throats with like the most aggressive advertising and marketing campaign I've ever seen in my life. Um, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. It's way over the top and just phony as anything. And it's just like when Rival first came out. If anybody remembers when Rival was first leaked, we saw like we knew that there's something weird coming and it was gonna be some kind of different ammo. And we saw the Apollo and the Zeus. We saw promotional photos and everybody was like, "What the heck? It's balls. That's not even darts. What the heck is this garbage? That's gonna be so dumb." But when Rival was released, there was still a lot of people tentative about it, and they're like, I'm not sold on it. It's not actual darts. It's balls. It's paintball. It's reball. Whatever. Blah blah blah. But when Rival proved itself to be unique and interesting and usable and viable and everything, then I mean we jumped on board and we're like, hey, this is a cool thing. Thanks, Nerf. And then Nerf was like, thanks for buying our stuff. By the way, we're gonna make even more of them, and they're gonna get cooler and cooler. And we're like, golly, thanks, Nerf. But it wasn't like, you're gonna like these balls, dang it. Like the way they're doing with the Ultra. It's just like they just made a thing that was good, and it continues to be good, and they keep adding new, cool, interesting things. I mean, they gave us the Chronos, which we've done everything else in the world with. I mean, I've seen them fire everything but Vortex at this point. Same with the Knockout. We say, what the heck, you're giving us a Jolt. Oh no, what we're giving you actually is a 160 FPS half-length blaster. Cool, thanks, Nerf. The kind of the unwitting sucker for that one. But yeah, Ultra really isn't offering us anything good yet. If they right out of the gate, if they'd said, "Hey, look, we've got this flywheel revolver that's rear loading," we'd be like, "Holy crap, that's super neat. Tell me more." And if they just left it at that and just let the product itself sell us on it, that would have been a whole different thing. But because we're not suckers and we're not their target market, because we're not suckers, then that's apparently why they went with what they went with. But yeah, that's a conclusion of my Ultra rant. Anyway. So yeah, I mean, if Ultra comes out with something like if the 2 comes out and it's like, wow, this thing is super easy to rebarrel, or hey, this thing is actually super practical, and the ammo doesn't suck anymore, and it doesn't break when you look at it wrong or anything like that, then it's like, okay, cool. That might actually be convenient to have for if Ultra rounds get used for some kind of other style ammo, kind of like Mega gets used as a shield breaker or whatever. Hey, cool, you got a flywheel sidearm that's rear loading. You can just have it holstered or whatever if you can holster that monstrosity. We'll wait and see. The 4, which is a dumb name for a single shot, I'll say again. I don't know why the heck they got a weird slidey breach for it. We'll see. I mean, we might be able to do something with it. It might just be super cool as it is. They might refine the ammo to be a little more practical. We don't know. There's still potential in it. It's just everything they make is so dumb and ugly and clunky and square and bad. It's just everything's just dumb. The idea, like certain aspects, are like, oh, those things are kind of cool until you pick one up or look at it very long. All right. Okay. This is where things really start happening, kind of. We got this screw port that says, hey, I'm in the way of this thing. So that's when we decide, who do we want to work with? Do we want to work and favor this guy, or do we want to favor this guy? It's tricky business. This is where things get real. So looking at it, that doesn't... Hang on a second, let me go get another modulish. Quick visit to the boneyard. Okay. Just getting a feel for... Okay, the back is a bit, obviously, very sharp right there and unpleasant. I'm just trying to figure in my head if we can trim it down. Actually going to change a lot of things. Hang on a second. Visit to the loaner shed shelf this time. Just trying to figure, okay, well, the back end of the Alpha Hawk is a lot more narrow. So I think that'll be a, there again, trying to think in the third dimension, think in depth. We look at this and say, okay, cool, we can cut along this line, but will this width here be narrower than this here? Actually, roughly the same. The actual width is the same, it's just, this is so flat that it's just a square edge, whereas this one rounds over real nice. So, that actually might work out. Let's check this real quick. Okay, so that dude's like that. And this dude is actually just a smidge wider. I'll be darned. I'm so darned right now. Wow. All right. Okay. Yes, Chris. Oh, hey, Chris. How you doing? Yes, this guy spent some time outside, I think. But not so much that the plastic seems to have been weakened or anything, but it was... for that matter, I should use this one to cut up. Oh well, it was this one was on top of the pile, so. Okay, so we do know that the overall width of this portion right here is wider than this. So I'm feeling better about the idea of overlapping. Although this cuts in a ways, I don't think we'll be able to use this surface here because it's going to be too far inset even over this, since they might even be like almost the same. But I think we'll start with trimming this along here, which, no. Ah! Thank you, guys. Guess that was a mighty sneeze. Okay, so... we'll need to keep quite a bit of this. I think we'll just start with basically cutting out this little rubbery texture thing that I'll probably throw in the parts bin somewhere. Maybe I can cut out this little section and stick it in somewhere on something else or something. I mean, it's kind of a cool gimmick. I don't really care for it. It's not like, oh my gosh, that rubberized grip is... I have such a firm grip on everything. I don't know. We'll see if we can save it. Otherwise, I think we'll just cut along here so we can keep some of this little toe, whatever you want to call it. Since we'll have to use some of that to kind of fill in the area, at least this much, to fill in the gap. So... once upon a time I had a Sharpie, and I could Sharpie things. Those are good days. Anyone else remember those days? maybe tomorrow I'll have another cleaning stream. Then we can just hang out and chat and clean stuff. Does pencil work? Kinda. Okay. Alright. 25 you guys. Good heavens. To the other 5 that have arrived in the time since last time I actually counted, welcome aboard. So we're kind of in this area, apparently. Whatever. Okay. Whew, well, that sneeze really threw me off. All right. Dremel time. Yes? Some lunch? What do you have in mind?
It's gonna microwave noodles and chicken. Do you want some?
That'd be fantastic.
Okay, I'll bring some.
Awesome, I'd appreciate that. Thank you. Love you.
No, let Cricket back there.
Okay, thank you. All right. Put the other half on here to keep things from falling out. Okay, and at this point, yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to use this thing here. So I think we'll just try to favor this line here, where this dude's going to fit in, and it'll just kind of curve up, and we'll just kind of figure. We might end up making a cut here, and we might end up using it as 2 separate pieces, just so we can kind of use this line here, and kind of use the termination point here as well. We'll cut the bulk off of this, and then see how we feel. Unless... Okay, we can't go too far into this. I'm glad I didn't cut any further, just because, in the grand scheme of things, he's kind of an important dude. I reckon if we have to, we can trim a little bit of this off if we need to, because we do have a good solid point here, and the rest of this as well. Gargunkel, getting late in the day. Time to go home from work. Have a nice afternoon. Thank you very much. Thanks for stopping by. Always, you're always welcome to hang out. Okay, I'm gonna take a stab at this. I'm gonna trim off this little bit here, and then shave out this little bit here. See if we can use this arc here to kind of curve in and see if we can tie it in. That would be super neat. I'm not counting on it working, but since we're gonna cut it off anyway, we'll trim up to it and go from there. If it doesn't work out, we'll just cut it off. So, for the occasion, we will grab a barrel. Mod scientist. I thought you were going to replace the whole grip. That's wicked. Yeah, the idea of swapping the whole grip would be cool, but then I'd have to try to place the rib trigger, and honestly, I don't care for the Alpha Hawk grip. Not crazy about the modulus grip either, so hopefully if we cut the two together, we can end up with something that makes everybody happy. And, Dan, yeah, sure. Sorry I forgot to wrap this one, but, yeah.
whispering. I just don't have a voice. I'm going back to the couch.
Okay. Well, enjoy the couch. And thank you for lunch. Love you. All right. All right. Where was he? Okay, I was kind of digging what's happening here. Maybe we'll make something out of this after all. Trim a little more off this. I think we can save this, I'm thinking. In fact, what we could do, instead of having this come up this way, like it is, we'll just incorporate and embrace this inside curve here. Grind this down so that this part will drop in. And try to get this little curved part here, which hopefully we can get to not interfere with the ref switch deal. So that'd be super neat. Zachary Edgar, hello and welcome back. All right, Ed. Thanks for joining in. I was kind of hoping you'd join in today, on account of we're doing things that have things to do with ergonomics. Actually, Ed, according to your tests, this stock and the slight amount of lengthening we're doing in this application puts it right about comfortable for me, according to your 90-degree arm test. In fact, when I was picking up these components before I started to stream, when I was looking at them and testing things, I thought, this would make Ed happy. If anything in the world will make Ed happy, perhaps this could possibly do it. Zachary, yes. I don't believe there is any blue anywhere on the Crimson long shot. The red strike long shot. At least not on mine, especially. Looking at it from here. I mean, there's kind of a grayish underneath where the bipod is. And the grip. Grip is actually black, looks like. So yeah, if there's any blue on there, then it's probably a painted up job, because they do look really good red. Whether or not the seller is trying to make it look like a red one, or if he just thought red looked cool and painted it, it's hard to tell. But Ah, welcome aboard Foam Blast. To whom am I speaking? Ah, tieback. That's a very, very valid point. That does sound about right. Okay. You want to have an argument? What was that?
So do you want? Did you get enough to eat?
Not yet. I'm still working on it.
Okay, so you still have some.
Yes, I do.
I was gonna see if you wanted any of the other noodles.
Noodles? What? There's more?
Not this, but the other noodle stuff. It's the
Yep.
beef and the rotel and the cheese.
Oh. I'll save that for like tonight or tomorrow or something like that. I'm still working on this. Are you done with yours?
Yes.
Fantastic. It tastes delightful.
I gave you all the tomatoes.
You dog. Darn you.
I ate 7 of them.
So that's pretty good. That's more than I would expect. Love you. Thank you. Right on. Oh, she's not going to answer. Okay. Okay, that makes the base of the grip a bit large, but I also think it makes it look a little aggressive. And I think once we, what the heck, let's see what has actually been wrought here. Okay, looking at that on stream, I actually think I like that. I actually do think I like that. I think once it's blended in a little bit. Not sure about this. I'm confident this can be blended in here. So it might just be like this will step down and then step down again, perhaps. Not overly concerned about that right now. But I'm pretty happy with how this rounds into this area here. I think we can work with that. It might end up just looking silly, and then we might just cut it off here at this point and do something. Like I said, not overly concerned. But I am happy with how this lines up here really good. And I do think even though this is kind of thick here, I think it'll still feel like nice and manly. And it does give it a nice, like I said, kind of a big stout, aggressive, don't screw with me type grip. If a grip can say don't screw with me, that's the one that's saying. Or at least it will when it's all put together. But I think it kind of helps balance out the stock. The stock's kind of heavy looking almost a little bit on its own, so I think being tied to a bigger grip with kind of a nice boxy overall blaster will be kind of a nice thing. At this point, just kind of eyeballing things, just looking at the picture, I originally was going to be adding, I was going to cut, use this line here, remove this dumb thing, and then incorporate this up here as just kind of a little extension of sorts. But I might not even do that. I think I'm going to focus on like completing the grip back here because this was the main thing. We might go a different route with this. We might just I don't know where it is. Hang on a second. I did a similar treatment with this guy quite a while ago, as far as taking off that front box and just using this as kind of just one of those venti things that firearms have, and then just adding a regular muzzle here and leaving this boxed off. I kind of like the looks of that. So I might do something similar with this. Like I said, we'll take this carry handle thing off, maybe add a rail of some kind, or maybe even just integrate some kind of optic of some kind there in place of. And just kind of see how that treats us. Work on finishing up the stock part of things, and might just call it quits at that. It kind of depends. All right. Welcome aboard, RZ Rider. And MJ. Okay. Doing just a Alpha Hawk integration, as Ed seems to be getting you lined out on. So yeah, it's kind of a basic, just putting a stock on from one blaster onto another. Nothing super complicated, at least yet, for this build. Trying to go, as the title suggests, kind of just a basic put a thing on a thing and see how you feel after that kind of deal. Of start with this, but then cut most of it off, add this piece of something else, and then add something else, and then cut that off and add something else on top of that, and you know. put some screws in the back end here, and a couple in the modulus, and just see how things are fitting together when everything's held down the way it's supposed to be. Okay. Wrong, and things aren't going to fit as good as they're supposed to, and so on and so on, because that's how life is sometimes. Actually, doesn't feel unnatural. Especially since with the thumb hole and everything, you're not able to really grab around the back of the grip. Like I talked about it the time before. Like holding something like this, I feel like I'm putting my hand behind it when it's all pistol. But if I'm holding something more rifle-y, especially if it's got the thumb hole, your hand kind of naturally reaches around a little bit further. Ed, you're probably going to jump in and tell me I'm wrong, and that's fine. You can just sit in your little dark room and scream in metric and tell me I'm wrong, and that's fine. But, no, it's just, I don't know, like, naturally seems to hold it a little bit different anyway, just because of the way the stock and everything works. But, yeah, it doesn't feel like alienating. I think, because the side is recessed weird and stuff like that because the modulus is dumb. Might add something there. In fact, we might even be able to recycle these things and fit them in there. I think I'll focus on... Doesn't work. Yeah. Let's start with getting this part tied into this, but we get this kind of dumb recessed area that I'd probably end up filling with putty or something anyway. So we might be able to incorporate that and drop these pieces in there, trim this leading edge off here, and set them in there. And that might be kind of a cool nod to the fact that those things used to be in there. Probably cut these things loose, pop that insert out altogether so we can do the body work and then just stick them in afterwards. But that might be kind of a fun thing. I don't know. So. What was that? Touch your finger and thumb together. Like that. I don't know. The grip is now correct at the behind the trigger, but too thick below the trigger, so you'd probably like to cut away the front strut down. Picture what I mean. Oh, so you're talking like cut this section out here, make a cut here, and bring this back, like so? Yes or no? Gotcha. Okay. And we'd kind of mentioned that before, that was before you came along, having to reshape things, either pull on this way, or vice versa. I wanted to maintain this geometry, though. Once we found out we could use this line all the way through, that was pretty cool. But yeah, I think I can get in behind. Okay, we don't need to worry about affecting lines too much here, because I think we can actually just take this, follow this line here, cut this section out. Wish I had a Sharpie. Used to have a Sharpie back in the day. Check one more time, so those of you watching at home can have a better idea of what the heck's going on. There we are. Okay. So what it's saying is basically you have a grip that was shaped this way and a grip that was shaped this way. You added this part to the back of this one, you end up with a triangle. My hands aren't shaped like a triangle, neither is his. So what he's saying is we've got a thing in here, can't really tell. There's a would it be helpful? I meant to ask this earlier. Is this view okay? Do you guys want a little more zoom? It's really a pain in the neck to try to get my phone to zoom to where it's not, so it doesn't look like you're like sitting in the attic looking through a hole in the ceiling, you know, far away. But I tried to zoom in and then it's like this much of the frame. Do you guys, would you prefer a closer shot at what's going on right here, or you just kind of like the overall ambience of the bench being a bench? Anyway, there's a little thing in here that we can cut out, bring this line down this away, follow this line here. We could eliminate this whole bit here, and then pull this line back. We'd end up with more of a favoring this angle while using pieces from this grip. Yes, I would make sure that next time I do the zoom thing, I'll make sure that Ed's not here, for obvious reasons. But, okay, so if everybody's on board with that, like I said, that fits in there. You can pull this back this way. Yeah, I'm digging that. Good one, Ed. That was sincere. Okay, that's getting into rev switch territory, unfortunately, but we can... what the heck? We're brave. Are you brave? I'm feeling brave. I reckon at this point, if anyone's squeamish, they can step out for a little bit. In fact, you can just Take this whole darn thing out. It saves us all a lot of trouble. Okay, so where is my cutting stick? Oh, Cynical Steve, gotta run, but it's been good to catch a stream, and the blaster's going to look epic when it's done. Cracking work as ever, Mr. Nate. Thank you very much, Mr. Steve, and thanks for stopping by, and we'll catch you next time, hopefully. Have a good night. Good day, night, what is it over there? Wherever you're at. Have a good whatever it is. Use progressive trigger, power switch. Yep, Ed, I get what you're saying. The only issue potentially with that is this: the idea of this build was to be a rather simple, uncomplicated, very basic build, simple integration, and then just do the body work and then sell it off. This is just kind of a creative palette cleanser of sorts. So I wanted to leave anything else as far as scratch building or fabricating work to a minimum if possible, so that whoever buys it can just snatch it up, put basic parts and stuff in it, which I guess is difficult because it is a modulus and nobody makes modulus anythings. But for the purposes talked about at the beginning of the stream, then, I mean, well, you know, whatever, take it as it comes. Anyway, so take this line here. Voltmeter ammo counter under the tube from the office. Huh. Interesting. I'll have to investigate that once things are actually integrated in. Have to look into the possibility of adding cool things like that, maybe. So what you're saying basically is take this, whoop, and bring it back like so. Effectively taking the deficit out of the size of the grip, basically. You can actually probably cut one of these inner walls out as well and bring it back any little bit further. Let's see how that relates. That was right in there. In fact, I reckon we could even make this cut right here, kind of that last point where it attaches. Cut out one of these inner walls, then pull it in, you know, to where these lines are flush. Might actually be easier doing that than trying to cut little sections out. Yeah, what the heck. So it just leaves this little bit. Huh. Interesting. Now let's get this guy cut up first. Back. Interesting. Interesting. Hang on a second. All right, same thing. Interesting indeed. Does need the thing at the bottom still, just... which would actually be fairly easy to fit in like that. But, you may have had a point. It is going to affect how the switch fits, since that's the retainer thing that's hanging out in the breeze there, but I reckon if I'm going to be replacing the switch and everything anyway, I can pretty much do whatever the heck I want here, or like you suggested, just do, cap it off and just do a two-stage switch. on the trigger, which is definitely an option. Just not sure how much room there is in there, so... Let's see how... I think what I'm going to do is still trim off this inside wall here to where it's just this edge and glue that on, which won't add a whole lot to the overall size, but it will give a nice rounded, natural shape to the front, which I think would be a nice addition, because it is right now, it's just square and really lame. And, okay, that looks like that's actually what you just said, so cool. At least we're on the same page. Not sure what that says about either one of us, but it is what it is. Okay. Just clean this up a little bit with the Dremel real quick. Okay, for anybody who's left, how the heck long have we been doing this? Seems like it's kind of a long boy stream. It seems there were two. Oh, good heavens. Wow, over 2 hours. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay, yeah, I think we'll do a little bit of trimming here and there, hot glue everybody in place, see if it makes us smile, and then probably call it quits for the day. We might pick it up tomorrow and do some more fine-tuning on the stock and maybe start actually integrating things in place for keeps. Yeah, I do think I'm gonna start winding down. Only about 2 hours. Oh, that's. See, when you package it like that, it sounds so much more reasonable. However, I do think we've made some pretty good progress. We've all learned some things, and building a cool thing here. So that's really good. That's really good. Okay, yeah, let's get this dude plugged in. Give it a few minutes and we'll start tacking everybody down. Fun fact, this edge here is going to fall down right below where this line break is on the modulus grip. So I think that actually, the grips might actually blend together pretty darn cool at the end of the day. Here's hoping. I mean, a lot can happen once you start sticking everything down for keeps, but so far cool. I've been having a nice, this we can blend into this here. This here's going to round around, and I think that's going to match up pretty good. we'll have like a bit of an insert kind of thing I think we can work with. We'll find out in a little bit how that's going to work. Do like how this line is going to line up here perfect and be just kind of a slight step down here, which means I might even be able to do like a voltmeter thing here or something. But, I have to wonder though what a flat top rail would look like all the way across. It would be kind of cool. I'm just kind of break up this dumb line on the back of the modulus there. Huh. But I do like the shape. I am happy with the shape. With the balance, the balance of the weight of the stock matches really well with the front here. I'm going to eliminate this part either way, whether we use the Alpha Hawk nose or not. It's, for the heck of it, let's move that away. Actually, while we're talking about it, I think I'm going to go ahead and cut this line here, and then this here, preserving this whole piece here because we'll probably use that somewhere else because that's really cool. Maybe not this build, but something else. But just since we do use this, it'll cut into this part here. So yeah, I think we'll cut this on both sides and just make this a little more manageable, and we can kind of start mocking up a little bit. Hopefully by the time we get this trimmed off, the hot glue gun will be warm enough to use. About warm enough there. Just a jolt. Holy cow. Hey, thanks for stopping by, man. Okay, so just for mocking up purposes here. Just gonna watching the stream so I can see the straight up top view. There's potential there. I might keep it a little bit shorter though, although having this rail and then stepping down to that rail might be a bit weird. Not bad though. I mean, not. That preserves this area here, just in front of this. So that could work. But first things first, don't get the proverbial cart before the proverbial horse. Totally did not take. Let's do that then. There. Yes, just a jolt. These are my pajamas. I rolled out of bed and I went to the garage because it's my day off, and I didn't feel like doing anything. I didn't even comb my hair. Brushed my teeth though, because you gotta be a little bit socially acceptable. But definitely doing the minimum. The way this week's been, I'm like, you know what? Screw everything in the world. I'm not taking my PJs off. Oh, and these are just flannels this time. My other ones were dirty. I put them in the laundry, which I did do because it's my day off, but I'm responsible too. I also did the dishes this morning. But beyond that, just the minimum today. I'll be productive and stuff tomorrow. Today's the day I earned, so to speak. Oh, that's totally gonna balance. That's cool. Okay, hope this glue is cured enough. I can lay this guy down for a second. Actually, I'll just twirl it. Oh, oh, magic's gone. Okay, we're just gonna flip around. Oh, nothing balances anymore. But what the heck happened? We had like, what, 16 a few minutes ago. Now we're at 24, 25? Good heavens. Apparently, hot glue is the what brings everybody to the yard, apparently. Which is weird. F2V2 Productions just got here, saw Modulus in the thumbnail and instant clicked. Well, shoot, we're kind of wrapping things up a little bit in a few minutes. So, reckon if you're a Modulus fan, then this may or may not be a interesting stream to catch up from the beginning on. All right, Mr. F2V2, pennies on the dollar. That's a good way to get them, especially if you're unfamiliar with them. It's always nice to get one on the cheap just in case something bad happens. As far as inspiration goes, I'm not sure there's anything available for the Modulus on a performance level besides OFP cage, flywheel cage, and of course motors and things like that. But I don't think there's any kind of other uh, upgraded like aluminum cages or any kind of trigger upgrades or firing system upgrades without just scratch building. So while the Modulus does have some advantages, being kind of rifly and having a better balance and symmetrical and blah blah blah, it's really not so great for trying to build into something cool. It kind of is what it is, unfortunately, but okay. Huh, not bad at all. Holds up kind of nice and comfy. It's got the whole elbow thing. It's a bit short. I mean, I can stick a finger in there, but I like stock just a tad shorter anyway because I like compactedness. But all right, Ed, that's what you've wrought today. See if you're proud of yourself or not. So I think that's good. I think that's good. It's got a nice shape to it. I think we can work with this shape here where it comes up and around just underneath there. That works out pretty good. I think we'll have to do a little sculpting here just to make this come up all the way through. But it depends on how the trigger ends up being inside. But no, I think this works. I think we can make this happen. I'm pretty happy with how this is. Like I said, probably going to fill in this area. This here lines up okay-ish. This we can fill into this area here and just kind of smooth it over, and that'll be fine. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good lick for just kind of quick looking, just for the heck of it. And I've got like 3 inches of plastic dust in my lap. See if I can get this in frame all the way, just for like that. Okay. Lining up the barrel-ish. So we pull that to that point. Oh, that's right. We're taking that off of there. How's how about there or something? I think that's pretty close, where this line here meets up pretty well with the break right here at the top of the stripe. So I think we can kind of embrace that, where this comes forward here. And that right there. We'd lose this little thing, but we also wouldn't have to worry about sanding that down. We just cut it off there. Roughly. Figure this rail comes here, bumps into that right there. Yeah. Yeah, not bad at all, not bad at all. Actually, let's see if we get a more of a straight on. There we go. Sorry, a bit of a delay here. I'm trying to compare this with the stream. Interesting. Okay. Well, hey, does anybody feel like taking a screenshot of that and photoshopping it a little bit or something? I don't know if anybody does that. But no, just kind of eyeballing that. Imagine that with a flat rail instead of that weird little hooky bob up on top. Yeah, I think that's pretty acceptable. Still pretty happy with that as well. Like I said, just cut this guy off here. Where's that other one? Should I put it away? Oh. There we go. Still think when you get away with a treatment like this on the front, just trimming this thing off here, adding just kind of a more conventional muzzle thing, I think it would be pretty cool. It is weird how just changing a few things, like this here, having the thing up on top, makes it just a lot boxier shaped and a little more aggressive and everything, but then leaving it off, this appears a lot longer, even if you don't take into account, yes, the addition of a stock, but just the characteristic or the personality of the blaster makes a big difference. Very interesting. Whew. Okay. Good progress. Good work, fellas. That's fellas, and I assume there's probably ladies in here, maybe, except for my analytics said that there's like 1% women, but that's okay. I mean, I like women too, and if you're here, right on. But I'm actually not too aware of my demographics, but I don't really care either. If you're here to look at cool nerfy things, then you're all right by me. So, thanks very much for all your input. Those of you who just were hanging out, that's cool too. Ed, thanks for your inspiration or input and whatnot on the grip thing. I think we did a good thing today. So thanks to everybody who joined in. Those of you who were stuck through the whole darn time, that's good job. That was I'm not sure I could have held on that long. Those of you who just showed up, feel free to watch the rest of the stream on your own time. But like I said, we might do this again tomorrow. It depends on what the schedule looks like. I can't make any promises, of course, but appreciate all of your input and stuff like that. And have a good rest of your day. And we'll talk to you guys later.